Hello, this is AstrologerCoach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming full moon in 3 degrees of Cancer, which will be exact on December 25th, which is also Christmas Day, at 6:12 a.m. East Coast time in the US, which is New York time, or at 3:12 a.m. West Coast time, which is also LA time. Now, full moon is always a time where relationships are highlighted, and it's an extroverted time where we're relating to people, where something inside of us is sort of like being pulled in two different directions, and we're trying to find a balance between two different polarities. And in this case, it has to do with the Capricorn and Cancer polarity. And so, therefore, a family and business relationships are probably going to be highlighted for the next 2 weeks. Now, the sun is in Capricorn, and Capricorn definitely teaches us to honor all aspects of the physical world, and it also urges us to create and build something long term, something that we're sort of like, something that we're building that has some solid base, and that is something we can share with people, with society, or something that we're just sort of like building for ourselves as well. Now, Cancer, on the other hand, represents the formation of the emotional body and the understanding of our feelings. So it really helps us navigate life by building an awareness to see what is healthy for us and what is harmful for us in terms of what we need, the needs that we have in life. So in order to really emerge as a healthy human being, we really need to be able to nurture ourselves and receive nurturement from others. We need to be able to take care of our feelings and needs, and in particular our inner baby, or what I call the inner baby, which is our feeling body. It's all the pre-verbal stuff, that you experience when you're still a baby. But yet we also need to be able to evolve from that, right, into a responsible and mature adult, so that we can provide for ourselves and for other people possibly as well, right? And that's more connected to the Capricorn stuff. So you can see how there's this Cancer-Capricorn, polarity and balance that we're trying to achieve here. And Capricorn, really asks us to step into our power and be mature to the point where we no longer need the approval or the validation from the outside world or from other people, so that we're really becoming masters of our own lives. We sort of step into being an authority figure of some sort for something or for our lives in a sense, right? We're mature enough, we're responsible enough to be able to take care of things in life, especially in the outside world. Now, Cancer, it's all about having these healthy roots, like a healthy soil that we're sort of like sprouting from. And Capricorn is all about sharing the fruits of our labor. So once we have, grown into this beautiful big plant, that we can share that, the beauty of that, or the value of that, with society or with other people. Now, in order to develop a healthy inner Capricorn energy, we really have to learn to listen to our feelings and honor our needs and not disregard them. That's very key, because when we disregard what we feel or what we need, it's very difficult to build something that's of value, or to build something that lasts, and to really move towards mastery, and to really be able to become that authority in our lives. So questions that you can ask yourself with this full moon is, am I connected to what nurtures me, or to my shoulds, right? And shoulds is kind of like, it's like all that stuff that we say to ourselves, I should be doing this, or I shouldn't be there, or I should already have accomplished this or achieved this, or, whatever it is that sort of floats, all these shoulds that float in our head. Very often they're voices that come from our parents. They're voices that come from society or from other authority figures, right? But the thing is, we have to kind of develop our own connection to that. rather than thinking about what we should be doing, is what really resonates with us and what we really want to be doing. And that we can only figure out when we're nurturing ourselves and we're tapping into our own feelings and into our own needs. That's when we get that information. And then we can really grow into a human being that can do things in the outside world that are authentic, that are truthful, that are resonating with our inner being and with our inner light, right? Now, some other questions you can ask yourself with this full moon is, does my current environment support my inner growth? Or does it provide me with nourishing bonds to other people? And these are great questions too to ask, right? Because it's really like our environment that we grow up in, that's the soil. That's our foundation, that's our basis in which we then sprout from. And in which we can achieve things from. And if that environment doesn't support our inner growth, or doesn't support our really connecting with other people, bonding with other people in a nourishing way, then that's not healthy soil that we're creating for ourselves, or that we're living in. So it's kind of like when you think of a plant, right? Like a plant needs healthy soil and it needs water. But, if you put a lot of water into a plant, it doesn't matter if there's no healthy soil there to begin with, then the water is not going to make a difference, right? So it's really important to really understand and know, what is my own situation? What is true about my own soil, that I'm growing in or that I'm coming from, right? And if let's say you come from a background or from a family or from an environment, from an upbringing that didn't have very healthy soil available to you, then it's very important to be even more conscious of that, because then that means you have to sort of like relearn how to pay attention to these things so that you can give yourself healthy soil, that you can make it happen for yourself, that you can be in an environment with healthy soil. Because very often we have blind spots around that as well, right? With family, with upbringing, things like that, with our conditioning. There can be blind spots there. Now, the other thing I want to talk about with this full moon is Uranus, because Uranus is coming to a halt in 16.5 degrees of Aries on the same day as the full moon, several hours later, on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Day evening, I should say. Christmas Day in the evening. And so that's a sign that for the next 2 weeks, we're really being invited to make a quantum leap forward, because Uranus is all about freedom. It's about breaking away from something that's holding us back, from breaking away from tradition or from something old that's no longer working for us. So we're really being invited to make some real changes in our lives, at least in one area of our lives. And what you can do is you can look back to see July 26th of 2015, look to see what was present for you around that time. That's when Uranus went retrograde. Before it started its 5 months retrograde phase. And so what was in your face then? And then look to see what is in your face now as Uranus is starting to go direct again. And just check to see what resonates. What do you feel really needs to shift in your life? Because there's definitely something that you're relating to in that way. And another thing I want to say too is, like, when I say July 26th, I mean that time frame. So it's not necessarily only that day, but you want to think back to like the week before or the week after, or maybe even 2 weeks before the 26th, right around that time, what that time frame, what was in your face around that time, right? And what's in your face right now. Now, another question you can ask yourself is, where are you being called to allow for a big shift? And the reason why this question is so valuable is because very often we also resist moving forward or moving or shifting into something new, right? Because Uranus is about something new. It's about something that we haven't explored yet. So we need to definitely let go of the old in order to step into the new, right? So that shift that needs to happen, we need to allow it. We need to be present to it. We need to be able to not resist it, not to push it away or to be scared of it. Usually an outer planet, even though it can be scary or it can be something that can kind of like jolt us out of our daily experiences or our usual, our usual habits or usual experiences that we have, or that we feel comfortable in, right? It can jolt us out of that. It usually is something that helps us to move forward and that helps us evolve. And so it's very important to recognize that an outer planet is not there to harm us or to hate us or to make our life difficult. What makes our life difficult is the resistance that we have, the rejection or the aversion that we have towards that energy. That's what makes life difficult. But the planet itself doesn't. The planet itself really wants to support our evolution. Now, if you want to read a little bit more about Uranus and the station and the moving forward of that energy, feel free to check out my weekly forecast either on my website at AstrologerCoach.com, or you can also subscribe to my weekly forecast. And I'll talk a little bit about that more at the end of the video and what's available to you in regards to that. Okay, so stay tuned. Now, the last thing I want to talk about with this full moon is Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces is supporting the full moon because it's making a trine to the moon and a sextile to the sun. And so therefore, it's really helping us with our connection to having a little bit more faith in terms of like how everything is interconnected, how the energy is flowing and interconnected, and how we're supported by the universe at all times. It helps us to be connected to our intuition, because our intuition is, of course, the very thing that helps us be connected to everything around us and to the universe. And so we're really, with all of that, we're learning to get in touch with our feeling body, and we're learning to get in touch with our inner light and our ability to listen to ourselves, to kind of slow down enough so that we can really get in touch with our feelings and needs. So for the next 2 weeks, give yourself time to tune into your feeling body, tune into your, what does your inner body need? What does your inner baby need, I should say, right? Because your inner baby is all that stuff, that needs nurturement, that needs healthy food, that needs rest, that needs to be loved, love, affection, healthy food and water and healthy nourishment. All these things are things that are connected to the inner baby, as well as our feeling states, right? Feeling states are connected to our inner baby. So ask yourself, what does that inner baby need from you? When does it feel most loved and taken care of by you? What does that mean? Taking care of your inner baby and giving it what it needs. So again, with all these questions that I'm asking, definitely sit with these questions. You don't have to answer them right away. It's just sometimes good to have these in the back of our minds for that time period and to just see like what comes up for you. You might have an insight around it all of a sudden. You might have a dream about it. You might have a conversation with someone else that brings that up for you. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow. That's what it is, or you might just tune in with yourself and discover on your own through, your day-to-day experiences, what that means for you. Now, of course, Neptune, is our connection to universal love, to our spiritual connections. And so it really knows what we need on a soul level, right now we have this Neptune-Saturn square that I've been talking about in the past couple of videos already. And that's an ongoing thing that's going to be going on until spring of 2016. And so this really calls us to question our basic assumptions about who we are and what we believe in or about the physical and spiritual world, right? So question you can ask yourself, could you shift from attempting to have a spiritual experience to simply knowing that you are always and already a spiritual being? That's what you are. You are a spiritual being and you're having a human experience. You're having a physical experience. And that it sounds like there's just a very slim distinction here, but it's actually, if you think about it, it's a pretty big distinction. Being a human being having a spiritual experience, or being a spiritual being having a human experience, it's very different. So just by shifting your perspective, what might be possible for you if you could just shift your perspective in that way and just live your life from that different viewpoint. And that can shift a lot. Sometimes there's a lot more possible when we're able to shift certain things in terms of how we think about life or think about ourselves, right? Now, another thing I want to say in connection to that too, with shifting our perspectives, of course, it would be really lovely if everyone, was on the same path at the same time. And if all of us would have the same revelations about our basic human nature and about our spiritual connections to life at the same time, but as we know, that is, of course, not always the truth, and it's not always so. And we all have our own truths, in a sense, that we're living and that we're discovering day to day. And so therefore, it's just really important and that we just focus on our own inner processes and our own perspectives, without trying to conform to other people, without trying to preach to other people, without trying to control what other people's paths are or what they're experiencing. And of course, that's not always so easy to do, right? And, in connection to our families, or connection to people that we love, or in connection to like-minded people that maybe walk a similar path as us, it's important to remember that each of us has our own path to walk, and we can't control how fast or how slow or how well or in what fashion everyone does that. Each one of us we all have our own pace, we all have our own way of doing it. And so it's really important to remember that and to allow that to be okay. Love is about acceptance, right? Neptune, the universal love. It's about allowing, it's about being open, And of course, self-acceptance is part of that too, And when you can tap into self-acceptance, you can be more open to allowing, other people to have their own spaciousness and their own freedom, in how they're doing things. And also knowing that, everyone is exactly where they need to be, ourselves included. We're also where we need to be all the time. And having that faith and having that trust, and again, that comes back to that Neptune placement, right? That is so valuable, because by just trusting that everyone is exactly where they need to be and we're exactly where we need to be, that creates so much more of an opening. And when we have these openings that are happening, there's a lot more that's possible in our lives with all that spaciousness, right? Now, to sum it all up for this full moon, as best as you can, honor your feelings, honor your needs. And this will definitely help you with building something that is rooted in your inner light and in your inner truth. And then once you have found that, then you can share the fruits of your labor with the world. And it's going to be extremely rewarding to do so. So ask yourself, what if I listened, nurtured, and treated the natural world and all living beings with respect and love, myself included? So I think that's a really beautiful question to ask yourself and to just have in the back of your mind for the next 2 weeks, right? Especially during the holiday season. And if you have an ascendant or a career point or any personal planets anywhere between 1 and 5 degrees of Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, or Libra, then this full moon is definitely going to be more, you're going to feel it more fully. And then these questions are definitely something that you want to be sitting with for the next 2 weeks. But even if you don't have any personal planets or points in those signs and degrees, just check your personal, your birth chart and just see, where does 3 degrees of Capricorn and Cancer fall into your birth chart? What houses are affected? Because that it also will show you what areas of your life need that balance. Where do you seek balance for the next 2 weeks? And if all of this sounds like Chinese to you, feel free to watch my video on how to read your birth chart. You can email us at info@astrologercoach.com and write recording into the subject line, and then we will email you a link to that video and some handouts as well that will be will be valuable for you to with that video to watch and to understand a little bit better, my videos, my weekly forecasts, and kind of like get a better understanding of how to relate that to your birth chart, right? Now, one announcement I would like to make before we finished this video is I have a deal of the month. I already talked about it a little bit in last week's last video that I recorded 2 weeks ago. And it's available until December 31st. Feel free to check it out on my website at AstrologerCoach.com. And just a little hint, it is connected to learning more about your birth chart, and it's also connected to understanding your soul's journey more fully. So if that sounds like something you want to explore and experience, then definitely go to my website and check out the deal of the month. All right. Now, if you want to take a look ahead, week by week, what's coming up, and to just align yourself with the universal energies, like I already mentioned a little bit earlier, there is a weekly forecast that I write, and you can sign up for that, subscribe to that. You can receive that every Sunday evening via email. And if you don't want to receive an email every week, but you still want to know what's going on with astrology, then feel free to sign up for my newsletter. I send that out every 2 weeks, so twice a month. And the newsletter is basically making announcements for everything that's new, that's happening with my courses, with astrology, and my videos, and also, if there are any specials that I'm offering, the newsletter will talk about that too. So feel free to pick whatever is in alignment with you and what resonates with you. And just so you know, for the months of December only, I'm offering to give you for free the Intro to Soul-Based Astrology, which is a 95-minute class that I'm teaching. And that class you will get for free if you sign up for either the newsletter or the weekly forecast, or for both. So that's my gift to you for the end of the year. So just email us at info@astrologercoach.com and just write newsletter or weekly forecasts or both in the subject line, and then my assistant will take care of you and send you a link to the intro, and we'll add you to our mailing lists. Okay? And before we end, I just want to say, 2015 is coming to an end. So I want to just thank everybody who's been with me this year and the last couple of years, who's been with me either via Facebook or via Twitter or via YouTube, or who's been a client of mine, who's done readings with me or coaching sessions with me. I just want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for sharing the experiences, the love, and the insights. And it's been such an honor and a pleasure connecting with all of you. Thank you so much. And I wish all of you a really wonderful, peaceful, joyful holiday season. And if you're not celebrating the holidays, I wish you a beautiful rest of the year or year's end. And a happy new year for 2016. And I will be back again in about 2 weeks from now with another video for 2016, for the beginning of the year. So stay tuned for that. And just as a reminder, I am on vacation until January 3rd, so if you would like to book a reading with me, feel free to reach out to my assistant at info@astrologercoach.com, or go to my website at astrologercoach.com to the services page, and you can already now book a reading for the week of January 4th or thereafter. All right, so that's definitely available. Have a good one, and I will talk to you soon. This is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis. Goodbye.